Hey, also nice RC Nerds here, and this is just I guess a quick unboxing of some items that I've received lately. There's a few things that I got a few days ago. I'm unsure if I ever incorporated them into any of our random unboxings that we have kind of embedded in the middle of some of our videos. So we'll go ahead and start with that. First has to do with the Losi 810. What I am definitely working toward is, I guess I'm calling it Operation Smooth. And that is, I'm really trying to smoothen out the drivetrain for this vehicle because it's not what it can be. Here was a roll test a few days ago. Here is my 810 prior to changing the bearings. Let's see how she rolls. And here's where I am now with it. I think there's definite improvement. I've only worked on a few things. However, to that end, the first thing that I got a while back, a few days ago actually, would be these MIP turnbuckles for the steering linkage, which has nothing to do with smoothing out this vehicle. However, MIP has come up with a suite of products that are designed to lighten up the 10 series vehicles. And this here, the word on the street is this really helps out getting rid of a lot of the slop. However, in this instance, I can tell you, look at that, it's not going to make a difference because it's not the linkage that's causing it, but it is lighter and it does allow for a little bit better suspension. So they say. We'll soon find out. The next thing for my 810 does have to do with smoothing out the drivetrain, and that is simply a new front drive shaft. I actually have 3 of the stock, including the Techno one, which, if you can believe it, I prefer the stock over the Techno. The Techno one is bent. The only advantage of the Techno one is it has a snap ring that goes around this coupler right here. I've yet to lose one, so with the stock. So anyways, going forward, definitely going to continue with the stock products. And also for the 810, I just got a new spur gear. The one I have is fine, but again, with it being plastic, you can never have enough. I do believe that Robinson Racing makes a steel spur gear. I know that they make some for the SCTE, which uses the same one. I just need to make sure that everything on it's fine before I get it. Until then, I'm just going to continue to stockpile the stock ones as they go. Next up, for my Mugen, I got a new air filter set. Now this is pretty interesting because what happened is on the stock carb neck, it tore. And anyway, so ironically, I have a lot of different fuel filters, or excuse me, air filters that I can use, but the issue with this is, if you look at this, the way that the neck is designed compared with other ones is, you see this hole right here, the way it's kind of, I don't know, more of an oval shape, because it's specific just to the actual casing itself. So I have plenty of other necks that I could have used, even some that are the same type, the same size and all that, but because of this right here, that's it. So I actually have a, what do they call it? The motor saver for it, but I've elected to hold off on that. I just like the Mugen one better. Also, since I have a whole lot of air filters I need to get rid of for the Mugen, I just decided to go ahead and get it. All right, next up is something for the Thug, my Hyper 7. And this is interesting. It's actually a Hyper SS steering assembly. Now, this uses a true kingpin suspension type. So that also includes the steering assembly for it. And so instead of using like an Ackerman plate, this really should use a drag link, but it doesn't. It just has this bar right here. So what's going to be interesting is which of these components that I can actually take advantage of, because I'm sure not going to use this top plate because it's cheap, but I'm pretty sure that I could use the bell cranks and the posts and all of that. I'm just going to have to change it up quite a bit. The problem with stock, you can see here this Ackerman plate, often what it will do is either rub up against this upper plate right here and or the upper arms. And it depends on how far your down travel is and your shocks and other things. It's a well-known issue with this vehicle. So again, I'm going to try this out to see how well it works. well, it's going to be very interesting in my opinion to see because again, I think this is a better design. I just don't know how well it's going to hold. Also for the Hyper 7, I got some new shock springs. These are the MBX 5 shock springs. These are actually firm ones right here. And so with the Hyper 7 shocks, the TQ Sport ones at least, being 14 millimeter, it's a little difficult to find a wide breadth of springs. So I have been leveraging the MBX 5 ones, and these of course are for the front. But you can see here I'm starting to get a nice little selection of them going so that I could truly spring balance the vehicle. And then additionally, what I got for the Hyper 7 is a new fuel tank. And this again is off of a Hyper SS. It's a little bit bigger of a tank, but I'm fairly confident that I can get it to fit, no problem whatsoever. And then finally for the Hyper 7, the Thug right here, I got a new Buku speed tune clutch for it. Right now, I use mainly the stock setup as well as the VP Pro, depending if I want nylon or aluminum. The VP Pro, I love it. I think it's a fantastic clutch setup. But I mean, this right here, in my opinion, is the best that's out there. And so, but if anybody is looking to upgrade to aluminum for their Hyper 7, definitely recommend that VP Pro at probably half the price of this right here. These aren't cheap. These are, use about 70, 80 bucks. And so along those lines with the Savage, I also went ahead and got a Buku speed tune clutch for it. Now this is interesting. I've run so many different clutch setups on this vehicle. It's not even funny. And when I was doing the break-in, it kept slipping, and so I'd put on another setup, and because I was on a high bite surface, and anyways, I think I just got really tired of having to change out setups just to get exactly what I wanted. Where something like this right here, it is so easy. All you do is you just, on the flywheel itself, you can adjust it. Now, what's going to be interesting is gaining access to the flywheel on a TVP design is obviously not as easy on a flat chassis, but still I can, at least take the tank off or put a screwdriver in there, whatever. It's still going to be light years more efficient than the current method that I'm employing. What's interesting about this is, you can see here, a 36 millimeter flywheel. The Savage stock is 34. However, the place where I bought this, they were out of the 34 millimeter one. So I kind of deal with the guy saying, all right, look, how about if I get two? If I get, a 38 millimeter for the Hyper 7 and then a 36 millimeter, do you think it's going to fit the Savage? Do you know of anyone who's ever put a 36 millimeter in a Savage? And, the response I got was the typical, well, it really depends. Flywheels are important for if you're starting with a bump box and it goes through the chassis and all that. I'm like, no. I just, do you know of anyone running it on a Savage? I understand the concept of how flywheels work and all that. He couldn't give me an answer. I went ahead and took a chance. I'm pretty sure I can get it to fit. Ironically, I've got a slew of 32, a whole bunch of 34 millimeters, and quite a few 38 millimeters. I don't have a single 36 millimeter one, else I would have just tested it out myself. However, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to fit. And then one more thing, that I got for the Savage is a T-Bone Racing rear bumper set. Of course, I will soon do a review on this. In my mind, this is probably one of the most needed items with the entire truck itself. This piece right here in particular, which is a Delrin stiffener that will sit right, I'm hoping, right about the area where the toe blocks are. The only downside of this is I can't use the stock wheelie bar, so I have to use these training wheels, ones right here with the two wheels, so until I come up with another design. Now, the reason I elected to get the rear first, because in my experience, the Savage is more susceptible in the rear to incur damage, more so than the front, and that's just because there's more crap back there. The other part of it is TBR is coming up with a new design for their bumper series, and so I want to hold off on getting the front one as long as I can to wait and see what the new design looks like. So that's it. There you go. Like I said, I might have already unboxed these earlier in a random one. If I did, I apologize, but here you go. And other than that, some pretty nifty stuff. I'm excited about it. Go Cowboys.